and get started.
Okay.
So I'll call to order the Town of West Newbury Planning Board meeting of March 4th, 2025. I have 7:03 in the evening. And first item on the agenda is a pre-application meeting regarding an ADU at 150 Main Street. Mr. Weil. Now pre-application, but before, just a pre-application meeting, just for those in attendance, is not something real formal. We're just hoping we like these because we can kind of suss things out, and a potential applicant can kind of see where the board lands on issues. So, Mr. Weil, do you care to kind of introduce the situation here?
Yeah, before I introduce the situation, I'll introduce myself. I think you all know me. I've never met Ted formally, but either way. I'm Chris Weil. Full disclosure, I'm on the select board. I've filed the forms at town hall so that there's no undue influence implied. And now the process that the ADU, West Newbury passed the regulation about a year ago. The state basically just completed theirs and codified the regulations. So we started, actually, let me back up from there. I bought my land at 150 Main Street in 1994. It's 7.62 acres, and I built a 2.5-story center entrance colonial up in the back corner of the property. So it's about, my driveway's 1,500 feet long. So it's way off the road, not visible from anywhere except satellites. It's 2,852 square feet. So the barn's was a cabinet shop. I ran a business out of there for a number of years. It's been vacant since I retired and gave it up. And basically it just collects equipment and way too much stuff. So my daughter at Christmas time said, hey, could she build an ADU out in the barn with her husband? And I hadn't thought about it till she brought it up. So we started looking into it, and I had a floor plan done up utilizing 900 feet on the first floor. The barn is 48 by 32. So it would have been about 30 feet of the first floor by 30 feet wide, and then I would compress my equipment and storage to the back third of the barn, keeping that in place. But we looked at the floor plan. From my perspective, it was not large enough. And the reason for that is that in 8 to 10 years, the anticipation is my wife and I will float out to the ADU, and my daughter and her husband can take the larger house because I don't even like this much space at this point in time. So I just kept looking and said, we need storage. There's no place to store stuff, even if you could live in the 900. So we realized you can do a special permit to increase the square footage. And my request is going to be, when we get to the formal hearing, I'm going to be looking to add 500 square feet in the loft up above. The building has 2/3 of it is a free span loft. And when we build the ADU, we're going to deck that all the way into the front. So in essence, the total square footage of the barn will be a little over 3,000 feet. And I would like to use 1,400 of that for the ADU. And I'm talking to Sam and a few other people. The one thing Sam said was, it seems reasonable and logical because everything is encompassed within an existing building. It's not like I'm adding a new structure. There will be very minor modifications to the existing barn. On the photograph that Katrina is good enough to put on the screen, that's the barn. And where that white overhead door is, there will be a porch about 6 feet deep and about 14 feet wide as an entry into the space. That and possibly a couple of skylights in the roof and windows will be the only exterior changes to the building itself. I currently have a driveway that it runs in, goes up about 1,400 feet. It splits off to the left and goes to the house. It splits off to the right and goes another 200 feet or so to the barn and has plenty of parking. We had a wedding here back in October with 125 people. We were able to park them all easily. So I don't worry about parking requirements. The septic system, I had upgraded it 3.5 years ago, just thinking it was almost 30 years old at the time, and I didn't want to have a failure or an uncontrolled situation, so we upgraded it. And quite honestly, what you're looking at in that picture of the snow is my septic. I didn't want any mounds or anything, so we engineered it such that it fit into the environment. This system is allowed to and will tie into the current system. We will put a pit with a pump on the far side of the barn, excavate to the D box, and it'll go right into the same system. So there'll be no visual impact even based on that. So when I was talking to Sam and Katrina, the requirements for the special permit on an ADU are really minimal. So we did look towards the zoning bylaws, section 11.2.6, which is the findings of the planning board when considering a special permit. I'll run through them quickly, just so you're aware of what I think we're going to be looking at. Katrina sent me these, which was kind of her. The specific site is appropriate location for the use of structure. I fully believe that it is, because the building is already there, and I think it's very complementary to take a underutilized building and create some additional housing. The use developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. I don't see it doesn't affect anybody. You can see the lights of my neighbors' houses at night in the distance. That's about it. Nobody sees me up here. There will not be an undue nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles, pedestrians, and adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided to ensure the proper operation of the proposed use, structure, or condition. Yes, no nuisance or no hazards. Proposed use or structure will be in harmony with the general purpose of the bylaw. I believe that it is. And as I mentioned to Katrina before the meeting started, indirectly, one of the reasons I'm asking for the 500 feet and not more is because that puts the total at 1,400 square feet. And I think, to be genuine, that the bylaw wants us to be an accessory unit, and it does reference 50% of the existing home. So I'm at a little over 2,800. So I would think keeping under 1,400 at 50% is reasonable. That's why I've asked for that. The requested use will not overload any public water. No, I've got a well. Drainage, no, because it's no grading or anything, or any other municipal system to the extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area or any area of the town will unduly subject it to hazards affecting health, safety, or general welfare. I don't personally foresee any impacts at all. So again, I guess that, I'm looking to take an underutilized building. Again, it's housing, but and it is for family, so I get there's a significant bias there, but I know my daughter could probably never afford to move to West Newbury. We would love to have her here full-time. She's been part-time in and out living in the main house, and I think it'd be more desirable if she was out in the barn. So I guess at the end of the conversation, I just want to find out if there's any deal killers from the planning board. But I also want to be very fair when within the regulations on submittals, I'm going to be looking for a ton of waivers. And that is because there is no new construction. Sam already told me for the 900 foot, and I haven't inquired about 15, I do not need a certified site plan. The buildings all exist. We're out of the wetlands. That's been determined multiple times, and he's fine with that. So I would be looking for waivers from, site plan, topographic plan, floodplain elevations, drainage schemes, and as-built, things like that. I can give you the draft floor plan that we're going to be looking to do, a couple of exterior elevations, no problem with that. The deed at the registry and things like that, whatever you need. So that's what I got, and I'd like to hear what questions and concerns you would have.
Very good, thank you. I think I see the situation. I'll first open it up to Ann, Tim, and Ted, see if they've got any questions for you. Any comments?
Yes, this is. Oh, go ahead, Ann.
I don't have any questions about the specific proposal. I think it's about the lightest hand on the tiller that you could possibly have under this bylaw, an existing structure with everything contained within it, septic all ready to go. That all sounds really good. I guess my question is that I need to remind myself of the difference, if any, between the state legislation and our local one, because we're going to have to bring ours up to conform with the state. And I can't frankly remember what their square foot limit is.
Well, I think
900 square feet.
Theirs is also 900? Okay.
ours matches
It does match now. Okay, that's what,
in this respect. It doesn't match with respect to residency and that kind of stuff.
right, okay, but the square footage is,
Yeah.
so it's neutral as far as that goes, and the special permit provision would still be what one would use. Okay, thanks.
Tim?
Can I address Ann on one issue?
Sure.
I don't want to be nudgy or too legalese, but my understanding is by applying now, it's the regulations in force currently in town.
Yes,
that apply.
yes, I
So I
understand.
understand your question, but I just want to be clear that,
Yes, that would be why you're doing it now.
well, again, I can't presume anything, but I would think it would still be allowed with the modification, the additional footage, but who knows?
Right, right.
If I was a gambling person, I would bet. I'm also trying to accelerate a schedule.
Sure.
I've got a daughter living in a situation that's not great, which is why she comes here a lot, and so the sooner I can do it. So if I had to wait till town meeting approves it, get on your agenda, a couple of meetings, appeal period, everything else, I'm probably looking until June or July to get going full force. So I'd rather do it earlier if I could.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Tim, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I just wondered, Chris, is it on the same parcel? It's all the same parcel?
All
The
one
7
parcel,
acres?
yep, one ownership, one
okay.
parcel.
And the driveway, nothing's going to change, it sounds like, with respect to access?
Nothing, literally, nothing outside the foot of the building will change except for the septic pit, which will be buried in the ground, nobody will see, and a trench for a water line. Electric is,
No, and a nice front porch.
The porch.
and the porch. The electric runs to the building already, I've got full electric service, I don't even have
I
to
see.
trench.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay. Your driveway's not paved, right? It's dirt.
That's a whole nother issue, Tim.
Okay,
The top section is paved and is breaking
Oh.
up. The lower 1,200 feet is, it's the ground up hot top, T-pack they call it. It's a
Oh,
Nice
okay.
product. Back in October, November, I was talking to the Concom agent about what it would take to pave it, because a lot of the stuff has been washing out into the wetlands, and every spring I get down there and for a couple of days rake out stuff.
oh,
So I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna pave it, but that's a whole nother project for another day.
Gotcha.
It's gravel, I rake it out in the warm weather once a week, every night, every Sunday night when I take my trash
Yeah.
down, I drag a rake behind and keep it nice.
it's a long driveway, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I got a
that's
tractor.
neither here nor there. Okay.
I
Very
used to tell
good.
people I let the kids shovel it in the winter, but
That's
Ted,
great.
did you have anything, Ted?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, first of all, it sounds like a great opportunity, great use of the bylaw. My question is more just purely out of curiosity. The 500 square feet, Chris, that you're talking about adding, I was trying to visualize, where is that going to be added to the existing structure?
In the loft.
yeah,
It's above
what
the
I've got,
trusses.
yeah, the plan is to take 900 on the first floor. And on the
Oh.
attic, you got the pitch of the roof coming, and we're gonna, yeah, see the loft there in the back, up on the
Yeah,
top of the photo?
yep,
So we're probably gonna drop walls coming down off of the rafters and create a space that's about 20 feet wide. The truss joists you see, those are gonna come all the way to the front and deck in the whole loft.
okay,
And so the 500 feet will be on the front, up in the loft, 20 feet wide by, whatever, do the math.
25.
Thank you, Ann. So,
got it.
yeah, we
Okay.
just felt, we had an architect do a preliminary sketch, and the 900 square feet, almost with when you put in closets, which are included in the footage, an entryway, I want to put a vestibule to stop air from leaking, that is included. So you got limited space, so you basically, and you got a kitchen, you're sitting at your dining table looking in the kitchen, and it just got too tight. So we thought the storage and another room to increase it upstairs. Now, more than likely, in 8 or 10 years, when my wife and I move out there, the intent is to have it so that we can have a full living quarters downstairs and not have to go upstairs. So that, I don't know if I mentioned that or not. The ultimate plan is for us to move there, them to move in the house at some point. We can age in place there, and then the house can then stay in the family.
So, Ted, does that
That answers it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about building an addition and modifying the footprint, modifying
No, no.
potentially the roof line, but this is self-containing within the existing footprint. So, okay, great. No, that was my only question.
Yeah, just to be clear, the only extension outside will be an entry porch.
Yep.
6 feet by, I'll be generous and say
So-
14.
Chris, these kinds of trusses are excellent, but you got to be careful with them. I assume that you're going to have some engineering analysis and make sure you've got the capacity, the live load capacity you need up there, because an attic can sometimes be rated for 20 pounds per square foot, but if you've got a bedroom, then you're looking at 30. So you'll need to check that all out.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that'll be my architect's issue. She has an engineer, she can deal with that.
Good.
As a
And
clarification,
then
Ray,
just an aside, just between us squirrels, I would, well, you're gonna be putting some sort of ceiling board in under here?
yep,
Okay, that'll strengthen the trusses too. That's good. I get worried with these trusses flopping over on you.
so I wouldn't worry too
me-
much, Ray, because when I had my shop in there, at one point I had probably 15,000 feet of lumber up there.
Yeah, I figured.
It's pretty heavy.
And then here's my concern. That's a big jump over 900 to go to 1,400 square feet. And I think that, you're pointing out that it's half the space of the main domicile. I think that's a good argument. You're not going to be exceeding that amount, but it's still quite the jump. I'm just wondering, have you thought about calling the ADU just the ground floor part? And then the storage in the upper part would be separated by a door or something, and that wouldn't be part of the ADU. That would just be auxiliary storage.
No, no, I hadn't thought that way, and I'll explain why. I've had many people, and some people who shouldn't have said, build your 900 feet and then just go back and do the additional once everybody's out of the building. That's not how I'm gonna operate. I don't wanna do that.
Well, yeah, I appreciate
Also-
that, and I'm not trying to say, here's how you finagle it.
No,
I'm
no,
I'm
I
being
get
quite,
that.
I'm being quite honest and serious and being straightforward about it. Because then you wouldn't even need a special permit, and you could get to work even faster.
Yeah, but I would like it because I do want it to be, I don't want it to be pure storage. I do want some living space up there. I'm thinking it could be a nice open family room. I would like to put a bathroom up there. And so I don't wanna, do it part way. The other thing I have to do, I don't know if you probably are, Ray, these HERS regulations, they're killer. So all that nice insulation in there, I'm gonna have to rip it out.
No,
Yes,
Really? You can't just add rigid or something to get
you
it?
can't get enough. You gotta spray foam it in.
oh my
So
God, because that looks like it was really nicely done.
it is, but it's like R16, they want like R5 million at this point.
Yeah.
Sarcasm. So the simplest thing to do is to take it all out. And by the way, both the ADU on the bottom, there'll be a demising wall cutting across that space to set off the 30 feet back, and the same in the attic. But what the plan is to take out all the insulation and just spray foam the whole
Thing.
thing. It's probably a bit more money. It's gonna be more efficient, more effective, and crisper. So that's part of the reason we said, well, if I'm gonna go to that level of extreme, it would be nice to have the extra square footage too. And I'm not representing, I don't wanna pretend it's just storage. It will be living space too, Ray.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's just something that came to mind.
Yep.
The only problem that I have here, the only snag, and I'm still kind of in my mind, I'm kind of having this internal debate. I'm just being straight with you, Chris, is the part on the special permit, keeping in the spirit of the bylaw. And, when we talked about that special permit, in my mind, we were talking about, going from maybe 900 because of an existing structure and that sort of thing. You might push it to over 1,000. To jump to 1,400 is a big jump there. I think you're correct in that it doesn't adversely affect the neighborhood and all those other things. I think you're quite right. It's just fine with that. So I don't know. I'd kind of appreciate Ann, Tim's, and Ted's view of that, of my concern here. Maybe they can reassure me.
Well, it still meets your, still would fit within your criterion of using the footprint of an existing building, right?
Yeah,
You know, I think what you were initially thinking may have been a building that was on one level in plan was 1,000 square feet or 1050 or whatever. But this derives its additional from that loft, and I don't know that there's a huge material difference there, really. It's still within the footprint.
and also I'm cautious here because I think what we'll be doing here is sort of setting precedent.
Now, I understand that, but then we would make clear the circumstances, you know, whenever you grant a special permit, you have the ability to describe what it is in this particular case that led you to the decision. It's not saying 1,400 will always fly. It's saying with these parameters, 1,400 seemed reasonable. I mean, that's, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Ray, later on in the meeting, I'm going to be talking to the board about changes to the proposed amendments to our ADU bylaw. As you know, we already had our public hearing. We thought we were done with it. However, the select board is going to be sending back revisions to the ADU bylaw. And in those revisions, there'll be a provision that the floor area of the accessory dwelling unit can be larger than 900 feet, but no larger than 1,800 feet. And so
where did they come up with this?
it's just they had to put some kind of limit. They wanted to put some kind of limit. They didn't want it to be 3,000 square feet. But as you know, right now, under 900 square feet is allowed by right. We want to allow some by special permit larger than that, but how large?
I would
And
say
so-
up to half the square footage of the principal dwelling unit. The 1,800 seems really arbitrary.
Arbitrary, yeah. What if the house is 2,000?
Well, you know what, the planning board will be conducting the public hearing for that, and so you can actually talk about that and propose a change to that if you want. I just wanted to let you know that that's.
No, I appreciate
Talk
that
about
very
it.
much. And either way, you know, what Chris is proposing here would work, whether it's the one that, you know, that my first gut instinct. But I don't want to, if something comes to us from the select board, I want to respect their decisions, but I also want to understand it. And the 1,800 is a strange number.
This may be a topic for later on the
Yeah,
agenda.
okay. Yeah, thank you, Ann.
Can I throw in
Tim,
two cents?
Ted, what do you think about my concern that this is quite the jump from 900?
Oh, I understand the concern. I think to me, this, because it's an existing building, and where it's located and the criteria, you know, that Chris went through that are from the bylaw, you know, it seems like it's, you know, one of those cases where you could make an exception, you know, for a larger unit, a larger unit. You know, when Chris said 1,400, I was a little surprised, but, you know, I don't think we ever really intended, other than that, you know, not greater than 50% of the principal dwelling unit, there to be like a constraint on the square footage. It does seem like, you know, there's adequate facilities and infrastructure to accommodate it. So this does seem like kind of a good example of where, you know, a larger ADU is appropriate.
Thank you. Ted?
Yeah, I agree with Tim and Ann. It seems reasonable to me. I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Well, Chris, as often is the case, I benefit from the opinions of my colleagues here. I think I could be persuaded to go up to 50% of the principal dwelling unit in circumstances like yours.
I had my 2 cents, Ray.
Please.
I didn't just move forward without a lot of thought. So I did talk to Sam. I spoke to Katrina a little bit. I've spoken to a lot of people about it. And the one thing that Sam said, and I fully appreciate, he said, people should understand it's an existing structure. You didn't build a building to then go and get a special permit to circumvent the 900 square feet.
Oh, that's,
Well, no, that I think, I always put myself in your position. Would that be reasonable? So, if somebody built the building this week and 6 months later comes in and said, hey, I want to put 1,800 square feet in
no,
there.
I appreciate that. I don't know where I got the impression, Chris, but somewhere along the line over the last 30 years, I got the impression that you were a straightforward, principled kind of guy. And in no way would I think you're trying to pull some sort of fast one on us here.
No, I also mean just moving forward for the planning board, what criteria that you use. And so the other thing I looked at to try and respect the intent of the bylaw was the 50%.
Yeah, I think, at least in my mind, if we're establishing some sort of precedent for this sort of an exception through the special permit process, well, it might be, who knows, it might be explicit in the revisions that get put forward, but I think that's reasonable. And in fact, when we first started talking about ADUs quite a long time ago, my impression would be 900 square feet or half the principal dwelling unit square footage, whichever is larger, would be the limit to do it by right. And but the state says whichever is smaller. So yeah. So there's that too. Good
Alrighty.
stuff. Any other comments? Any other discussion? Chris, did you get from us what you wanted to get from us tonight?
Generally, yes. The only other thing, I'm going to move forward with the full permit request, hoping to be on your agenda for the April meeting. The only other thing is, I would hope you would entertain the waivers for the things that are irrelevant because it's an existing structure.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it comes to the waivers and all that, I guess because you're requesting, I don't have a problem with those. That would strike me as something that would more comfortably rest with Sam, I guess, because it's a special permit decision that.
It's the planning board's requirements for a special permit application. And so you have to submit certain plans, et cetera. And so what I would do, Chris, is just list everything you want a waiver for so that at the meeting when they're scheduling the public hearing, they can already be looking at the waiver requests.
Yeah, I'll include that in the submittal.
Yeah, I don't expect a problem with the waivers, but we'll make it part of the formal decision included in the vote.
Okay, and indirectly, Sam endorsed it when I was talking the 900 square feet by saying he would not need a certified site plan because the buildings all existed.
Yeah, that strikes me as
Even to build a 900, I don't need it. So
Right.
to build additional interior would seem logically you would not need any of those also.
Right, there are no setback issues or anything like that, so.
No, and I did measure it. The barn corner in the front is 35 feet. The back corner is 44 feet, and it's a good 200 feet off the back. So
How did you get all that lumber up there in the loft?
I used to be a lot stronger when I was younger.
Piece by piece.
Yeah.
Wow.
You want to haul some down with me, Ray?
Do I get to keep some?
Uh,
All right.
Conflict of interest, man.
Yeah, there certainly would be. Yeah. All right, sir.
That's
All
good.
righty, I appreciate your consideration, and we'll see you in April.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Thank you. I'm
Very
going to check
good.
out and let you continue on.
See you, Chris.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we do have someone here waiting for item 2D, the 29 Pleasant Street, scheduling the public hearing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that then. So item 2D, placement of items for future planning board agendas, 29 Pleasant Street, special permit for a common driveway, Matthew George and Mary Ellen Russo. And I see somebody called John Duxbury just turned on his video.
I think it's Tilton.
Is it John Tilton?
This is a simple one. We need to just schedule the public hearing. He said he would be here in case you had any questions, but really, we have received the application. We need to schedule the public hearing. I wouldn't suggest scheduling it for March 18th because I think we're going to be busy that night.
We
And
have
so
to
the
advertise.
earliest would
We have
be,
to, we still have to advertise for it too, so we don't have, we need 2 weeks, right?
right, right. And yeah, I knew that we wouldn't schedule it the March 18th, so.
Right, exactly.
Oh, we had this was on our radar, wasn't it?
Yes, they had a pre-application meeting with us.
Right. Okay,
Looks familiar if you look at the drawings.
yep.
So the board would have to vote to schedule the public hearing for April 1st. And also let me know if I should ask for a cost estimate from Meridian. I'm not sure how the board usually does that.
Well, you're the town planner now, so just because we've done something in the past a certain way doesn't mean that we can't change it when it makes sense to you. First, let's talk about the time. April 1st sound like it works as far as you can see, Katrina?
It does.
Okay. Other planning board members, that seem reasonable, April 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sure.
All right, and then as far as a cost estimate from Meridian.
So that could be something that the planner automatically did. Do you ever remember as a board instructing the planner to get a cost estimate?
Not particularly formally, I wouldn't say.
Well, then if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, why don't we make that sort of the modus operandi?
Okay.
So they're reviewing the plans, Katrina?
Right, I'm just gonna get a cost estimate so that the board at the public hearing can either vote or just say, we're going to send this to Meridian to have it peer reviewed. I just want to get the cost estimate in place
yeah.
so that we
No,
know
but
the cost and then the applicant can give us the money so we can put it in our funds.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
but
just
it's for the,
fund-
it's for the plan review, right?
Yes.
I think, yes, okay,
Yeah, just to fund the escrow account to have some sense of where to start.
I see.
Mr.
Excuse me.
Go right ahead.
I'm John Desperey. I live at the 25 Pleasant Street. So this issue is next to my property.
Gotcha.
I haven't seen any plans. I haven't seen anything which is going on in there. So is there any way that I can review these plans prior to? Because there are several concerns that I have considered, with this person putting a house in a driveway and so on and so forth, into the property next to me.
So Mr. Duxbury, they're just scheduling the public hearing, and at the public hearing, everyone's going to get a chance to talk, but you can actually look at the plans. If you go to the planning board webpage
Okay.
and go over to the left-hand side, and there's a list of titles. Choose I think it's planning board agendas and reports possibly, and look at tonight's packet, and you'll find it in that packet.
Okay.
And if you can't find it, just email me and I can send it to you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, because like I said, I do have some concerns with this project. There has been an attempt prior, many years ago, to have somebody do this, and it was shot down by the planning board, by the conservation, and because we have wetlands that we need to worry about. We have turtles that migrate. We have a pond. So, I mean, these are all things that have my concern. That's why I want to see these plans and see what's going on.
Well,
Okay.
good. Take time to look over those plans, and then if I may be so bold as to suggest, you probably already have a list, but I would write down your specific concerns, because I promise you at the public hearing, we'll want to hear those concerns and have a discussion about them.
Yes, I do. I do have a list made up already. And like I said, I was just seeing where this meeting was going to take us this evening to find out what was going on. So the public meeting will be the 1st of April.
Yes, and just so you know, I believe, and the engineer is here, he can let us know. I believe it's already in front of the Conservation Commission. In fact, it could have been last night that they heard it.
Oh, okay. Because I've been watching and I haven't seen anything. I haven't received any notifications of, being the direct abutter to this project. I haven't seen anything. So that's why.
And I don't know what sort of terms you're on with the applicant, but in an ideal world, nobody would be surprised. If you've already got a list of your concerns, you might pass them along to the applicant ahead of time so that just nothing is surprise. Everybody has their arguments on both sides of the issues, and
Yep.
So
we can
the
talk it
applicant's
out.
engineer is at this meeting. That's John Tilton. I don't know if
Mhm.
you can see him.
I can see Mr. Tilton.
Yes, I can.
And so Mr. Tilton would know whether or not it's been before Conservation Commission, and he can probably let the applicant know that the Duxburys at least have some concerns.
Yeah, so we filed, I think 2 weeks ago. We have not been before them, but we're scheduled. It might be this Monday coming up,
Okay.
the second Monday in March. So everything's been filed. So it could possibly be this Monday. If you need copies, you can come by my office as well. I can sit down with you as well to go over it. Whatever you like, I can
Okay.
accommodate you.
And
And
your
then-
office is located where?
In Milton,
Middleton?
that is Williams and Sparages.
Okay.
And then if you do get the packet, it's a large packet. The information you'd be interested in starts on page 68.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna look into this. And like I said, I mean, I know this has been tried once before and it was a lot of things were shot down because of the wetlands and so on and so forth. So that's why I want to find out what's going on. So,
Yeah,
Right.
and it's definitely, I mean, the Conservation Commission are the town experts when it comes to, dealing with wetlands and mitigation efforts, et cetera.
okay, very good. Very, very good. That's the end of what I needed for this evening. Thank you very much for your help and your directions.
You betcha. Thank you, Mr. Duxbury, for participating early.
All right, not a problem. Have a good night, sir.
You too.
All right.
You too, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Mr. Tilton, did you have anything else for us?
No, that's it. I'm all set.
Okay, very good, sir. Thanks for logging in.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.
Do we have to pick a time, Ray, for that?
Probably do need a time certain. What do you think, Katrina?
Do you like 7:15? I don't, you had 7:15 in other public hearings. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the reason for 7:15 is if a planning board, not that I have ever been guilty of this, but if a planning board member is running a little late or needs to be nudged, there's time for him to get on board before the important business.
So do you want me to have it start at 7:15?
Makes sense to me. What do you think, Ann? Tim? Oh, Ann,
Sure. I didn't know what else we had
you're
going on
muted.
that night, but that sounds fine to me.
I'm sorry, I forgot I was muted. I think it makes sense. It's also, sometimes the butters take a little longer than others to find the meeting, and so I think it's good to have a little time before we dive right in.
Okay,
Good.
I noted that.
All right, next item on the agenda are the minutes, and I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the very detailed minutes from our joint Select Board and Planning Board meeting on December 10th. I'm going to pop them up on screen here.
Just all right, because I can't find them.
Let's look again.
Is that too big or is that good?
Fine.
Perfect.
Good. So yeah, so this is from December 10th. It was the first meeting, and just to, I don't know if you remember, when we started the meeting, we weren't sure whether or not we were going to pick a parcel or whatnot, and we talked about the traffic study and wanting to get the information from both sites before we picked a parcel. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments on page 1?
No.
Okay, top of page 2. There were a couple of little word changes I could make, but since the select board is also approving the minutes, that gets awkward.
Oh.
So I thought that unless we had a significant change to make, it'd probably be best to go with as drafted. Bottom of page 2,
Looks good.
top of page 3.
This is long.
It is, and it's quite detailed. It reminds me of some of our minutes from years and years ago.
Mhm.
Bottom of page 3.
Well, it was covering the comments of more than the usual number of participants, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and again, these are the sort of minutes that people might look back on.
Yes.
So the extra detail is nice. Top of
Yep.
page 4.
Mhm.
By the way, I don't know who the parents were, but I wholly support the given name of Bob Funk. I just think that's a wonderful name.
Could
Was
I
better-
add, this is just a comment from our minutes taker that a couple of times, and I think it was at this meeting, so it wasn't you, Ray. The people speaking in the public were asked to state their name and they mumble. And so it's always good to maybe repeat the name
Yeah, and they're supposed to give their address as well. So
because it creates extra work for Jen.
yeah, I'll be more careful. Thank you.
Oh, it wasn't you.
Well, even so, I can be on the alert for it. Top of page 5.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's what
Okay, so
happened.
motion to accept these meetings as drafted.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Cronin. All those in favor? Ray Cook, aye.
Dean, aye.
Tim Cronin, aye.
So that passes 3 in favor, 2 non-voting, and Ted's not of agreement.
No, should I be voting tonight? I always get confused.
Not
Well,
on this.
he really does only vote on special
Yeah,
permits.
doesn't vote.
Okay.
Yeah, not
Okay.
on this, but I appreciate nods of support, Ted.
Yeah. I waved. I said, I smiled.
The thumbs
When
up.
I was the associate member, I was really impressed because I felt like I was part of the discussion, part of the planning board. And I appreciated that a lot, and I want you to feel that way too.
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Good, good. And even on issues where you don't have a formal vote, your input's still very much appreciated.
Definitely.
I
By
appreciate
the way,
that.
this is an opening for me to ask, are you going to try to become a full voting member, or are you going to stay back as an associate?
Don't know. Haven't decided.
Okay.
I need to make up my mind on it because I believe the application, I need to get the papers in like next week.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Katrina when the
No.
deadline was.
Yeah, I have an email exchange. I believe it's next week, right, Katrina?
I think it is.
14th
Well,
or the 18th.
just so you know, that I hereby remove the excuse from you that you wouldn't have time to get signatures. We can get signatures real fast for you if you decide to do it.
Yeah, candidly, I've appreciated this and I want to do it. My concern is time.
Understood.
Yeah, it's
I'm
it's
not
tough. I got a
pressuring you.
couple
I'm just saying.
couple young kids, not trying to make excuses, but it's
Yeah.
I want to be committed if I'm doing it. So I need to
That's
decide.
good. Well, we appreciate your input as an associate member as well.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yep. All right. So here are the a second set of minutes. A little briefer, but then the meeting was also shorter, I think. February 12th, 2025, the second joint meeting that we had. And any comments here on the top of page 1?
No.
Okay, bottom of page 1. Top of page 2.
That's good.
Yeah. I think
So
that's-
I move to accept the meeting minutes from February 12th as drafted.
Second.
Have a second from Mr. Cronin. All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
And Bardine, aye.
Tim Cronin, aye.
And the vote is 3, 4, and 2 not present. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda are correspondence. And let's see here. We got a letter from Butch Hills hoping that Major Boyd paving be done in May rather than April, just because everything's going to be warmer. He feels there'll be a better bond. between the two layers of pavement that way.
And I have passed that information on to Mike Crow. He's aware of that.
That's fine. We have an email from Sam Jocelyn regarding protected use of ADUs. I forget what
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what was going on with his comments, Frank.
Okay, so he's in contact with the state constantly, and he's learning new little tidbits of information from the state. I mean, this is evolving in front of our eyes. The state is learning new
Oh,
things
yes.
as they go. And so the question was asked, they started talking about the protected use ADUs. That's what it's called when it's protected by that state law. And the state said that they view these protected use ADUs separately from ADUs approved by special permit. So possibly you could have two ADUs on one lot. If you had a special permit ADU, such as the one we talked about tonight, the person could possibly just apply for a building permit to build a protected use ADU. It doesn't make sense. I have a feeling within a year's time, we will see an end to this, but
Yeah,
these things keep popping up and then the state has
crazy
to
talk.
address it.
Yeah, the state has to fix that one.
I agree with you, Katrina. I think as this evolves and people sort of settle into this new culture, that they'll, because I mean,
Yeah.
on the face of it, it's absurd.
Making laws is messy.
Yeah. And the other thing is that would then disincline us to ever grant special permit ADUs because
Right.
it would have such a significant potential downside.
Right. But because of this, you'll see when the select board sends the new proposed ADU bylaw, we've created two new definitions. So there's two definitions of ADUs now. One is protected, one is special permit granted. And so we're treating them differently now too.
Yikes.
What
Yeah.
I'm just curious, are you privy? Do you know why the select board has gotten involved in this? Because normally something like this would just be, between Sam and the planning board and
Right. I think it had to do with the fact that when Sam proposed that second change to the first rendition of the ADU proposed bylaw change, it cut everything. It just cut everything. There was only, two sentences left in it. And what happened is all of those conditions that were contained in the original bylaw that was adopted 2 years ago. And I heard there was a lot of, discussion on town meeting floor about all of those conditions. And it's the feeling that maybe we don't want to just throw those away. That at least it gives something for the planning board to work with, as opposed to the planning board having just, you can grant a special permit and the sky's the limit. It's kind of nice for you to have that list of conditions, to choose from too. Or not choose from, you have to apply all of them actually.
well, I'm a little confused by the whole thing, but okay. Again, it doesn't strike me that's it's unusual that these sorts of revision would come through the select board first.
Especially once we've already held the public hearing, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah, it seems sort of like, wait a minute, guys.
It is a burden, and my feeling is someone or they felt strongly about this.
Was
Because
it as a
it is a
result of
lot
some
of
input
work
that-
for our office to make sure that it's advertised, that it's sent to all the surrounding towns, it's sent to EO, HLC and MVPC, and it's a lot of work to make sure that you fill out that Form 7 for the Attorney General's office and make sure you've done
Yeah,
everything.
and I mean,
required.
the reason for that sort of drastic change came from Sam because things are evolving.
From the state, it wasn't us deciding to gut the law.
No, it's just we knew we'd have to comply with the new state law, and because things were being worked out over time, Sam figured this was the best way to go about it.
I think the proper place to talk about all this is at the public hearing that will be held for it, because I don't really have many answers on.
Yeah, I'm not asking about the actual proposed bylaw as much as the process by which it's bounced back to us from the select board, which strikes me as unusual. And for example, I feel, and I'm not guarding territory or anything like that, but I feel like this board, the planning board, is the better place to come up with numbers like 1,800. Or
Oh, and
that kind of thing.
I don't think you'd get an argument there. I think it's a matter of time.
Yeah,
That we're running out of time, and the
yeah,
select
yeah,
was
yeah,
meeting
yeah.
this Thursday, and this was a last minute thing today. In fact, I was finishing the draft of it, and tonight I just noticed I forgot a couple things, which I'm gonna have to change tomorrow.
Okay,
All of these things can be talked about at the public hearing,
right,
and the
right.
planning
Well,
board can make a negative recommendation or positive. They can offer changes if they would like to see changes.
well, at this point, if we see changes we want to make, does it have to go back to the select board? Is it the select board?
Nope.
No, okay. All right. All right. Very good. Yes. So we're still under correspondence. Does everybody understand Sam's thing about how now, yeah, okay, you could end up with 2 ADUs by this bizarre.
Yeah, it seems like a loophole that's going to be cleaned up, like you
Yep.
say. So,
It's
yep.
just got to be. And then there are some notices from other towns.
Yep.
Groveland Planning Board, public hearing, let's
Yeah,
see.
battery storage.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff. Accessory apartments, just a laundry list of zoning bylaw changes in Groveland.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then another one from Haverhill. 40
Everybody's run up.
condominium.
Everybody's got town meeting coming, so
Yep. And then we get to the MBTA
Yes.
business. So that falls under administrative details. Dodson and Flinker. I don't know if you had a chance to look, but the whole proposed MBTA bylaw is there. And then it was reviewed, and then there's a bunch of comments. Did you guys see this? Did you have a chance to look at it before the meeting tonight?
I did, yeah.
I did.
Um,
I need to look at it again.
Well, it's,
Do you want me to update the board on this
yeah,
meeting?
yeah. I mean, it's just,
And
so just tell me real quick, the red are your notes, correct? On things that we would
No.
have to change once the parcel was chosen?
right.
And then the
But it is
purple
even
is,
worth reviewing this, Ray, because this is all marked up by Dodson and Flinker, and then tomorrow afternoon we're meeting with Dodson and Flinker and Town Council so they can talk through, because Dodson and Flinker could answer all of the
right.
edits by.
Yes, and this was where I expected to go with this. I just wanted to understand as I looked over this. I mean, this is what we're getting more input from Dodson and Flinker on. I get that. What I'm looking at, the red was sort of your stuff, and the purple were comments from the review,
Yes.
from the legal review.
And the only reason they have that old copy with the red stuff is because we sent it to them before we had determined which parcel.
Gotcha. And then what's the difference between is the K04, is that you, Katrina?
Yep, that's me.
Okay. And then RS5 is the town attorney kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's Robinstein.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So that's what's there. And actually, it doesn't strike me as a ridiculous amount of work here.
No, it's clarifications between the town council and Dodson and Flinker, which
Yeah.
they'll be
Yeah,
able to clear up.
Ray, on the very first page, I put a key up the top that tells you what the initials stand for, if you do end up forgetting.
There you go. See, you're very efficient.
But so we had a very good meeting with Dodson and Flinker last week. We've re-engaged them because we did have about $3,000 left in the fund to pay them with. And they're meeting again tomorrow with town council because they've really answered town council's concerns. And in some cases, such as the instance where town council thought that we weren't able to require a special permit for a parking garage for a multifamily use.
I saw that.
In Westford, Todson and Flinker did theirs, and it's all been accepted by the Attorney General.
There you
And
go.
so I think we'll be okay.
By the way, there have been some news stories floating around, more legal actions taken regarding the MBTA. Just want you guys to be aware. I haven't seen anything that looked like it would impact West Newbury in particular. I forget what community it is, and they felt like they already complied with it and that this was an unfunded mandate. And so they're pursuing legal action because they feel like they've already satisfied the requirements. Does this ring a bell with anybody?
Yes, yes. And they were really just going for the costs of what we've already expended with people like Dodson and Flinker.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't go down the unfunded mandate road in the state of Massachusetts for $1 million. Because,
Well, the only reason I bring it up here is because I think it's likely to be one of those things that bubbles up
right.
Mm.
when we have public hearings and
Yeah,
whatnot.
it'll be a
So,
speed bump, but I don't think it's realistic from
well,
what
there you go.
I've seen.
All right. So thank you, Katrina, for updating us with Dodson and Flinker. And we can expect that this kind of be all kind of worked out by the time.
Yep, hopefully by tomorrow afternoon, we'll know how it will be finalized, and I will get a copy of that out to members as soon as possible because the public hearing is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you want that final version. And so we'll have to go through all of the changes because what was advertised was a different version of it. So we
Gotcha.
will have to, and I'll try and put together a slideshow that shows all of the changes.
That's good. And then will there be, I assume that as soon as this document is ready to go, it'll go up on our website. So if we
Mhm.
had some people in town that wanted to look things over before the public hearing, they'd have a chance to do that.
Right. And don't forget about the yield plan. We still don't have it yet. We're hoping we will get it soon because, I'm putting together the slideshow for the public hearing and we would like to have that. I don't
Yes.
think we need to show it to anyone or in case people ask, this is, if it's going to be too dense, it's going to be much denser than we allow. And we can say, well, we did a yield plan that shows this is the density that would be allowed by right.
Well, I don't know how the other planning board members feel about it, but as far as I'm concerned, if they put together that yield plan, I think it could be very instructive to show it to the public when the time comes.
Yeah.
Depending on the outcome.
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I would suggest, Ray, is that we should get together before that so that you can go through the slide deck, look at it, and then maybe we can talk about,
Yeah, we can do that.
yeah.
We can do that. Just give me a heads up. Also, I tend to get text messages on my phone quicker than I get emails for some reason. So
Okay,
yeah,
that's good to know.
feel free to text me.
I do have a couple other administrative things to bring up that
Oh, okay.
didn't
Yeah,
make
go
it to the
ahead.
agenda. Okay, we already talked about the revised ADU bylaw. So Ian Burns will be attending the board's public hearing on the 18th to help out where needed. And flyers will be sent out to residents next week. They are finalized and will be sent out next week, so that's good.
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's something I
great.
wanted to bring up with the board, and maybe we could talk about it at a future meeting. These pre-application meetings cost money in West Newbury, and I don't understand why. We want to encourage people to come to pre-application meetings, and I just learned about that there's a fee for them the other day.
What fee?
It's like $200 for a pre-application, and for an additional pre-application meeting, it's $100.
Oh,
Which I don't think
Guys.
we should be charging. I don't know, maybe in the past you had an applicant that kept coming back to you.
But even so, it's not like we have to advertise it. It seems to me it's in the normal course of business for you and for the board, right?
Right,
Not extra burdensome.
yeah. Do you agree that maybe we could talk about this in the future and get rid of that
Yeah,
application?
that's part of the regulations, right?
Yeah, yep.
So we can change regulations via, what is it, a public hearing, I know
No.
there's,
I don't
If,
think-
well, this would be for subdivisions too. In subdivision regulations, you do have to hold a public hearing, unfortunately. But
we're
I will look
changing
to see.
regulations, but it doesn't have to go to town meeting.
No, 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 no. I'm just talking about a public hearing.
Yeah, so it would probably be a good to take a look at not only these fees, but see if there's any other fees that we've got in place that need to be adjusted or removed or increased, whatever.
I think you just did it. What was it, 2019? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
but
like
you know,
40 years
that's
ago or something.
Five, that's
Long time.
pre-COVID. That was a
Yeah,
whole
that's
nother,
6 years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that was Trump 1.0. That was-
boy. Okay. Yeah, we could look at those
Okay.
fees.
Yeah, take a look at fees in general.
Okay, and that's all I had.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the pre-application meetings are helpful.
I will say that Mr. Wild did pay the pre-application fee, and unfortunately, I haven't charged anyone else because I didn't know we charged a pre-application
Well,
fee.
can't we waive
You
fees?
can waive fees, yep.
Right, I wouldn't waive it in this case, though.
Oh, it doesn't look good with the,
Yeah, it doesn't look.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, but in future. Until we get it fixed, we should waive it.
Yeah, it is difficult when a board member becomes an applicant. You just have to be very careful that,
Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah.
they're treated the same as everyone else. Unfortunately, I couldn't just forget that we had the application fee in his case, but I really didn't know about it before.
Very good. All right, that covers all the items on the agenda except items not reasonably anticipated, and I don't have any. Does anybody else have an item that wasn't reasonably anticipated?
Nope.
The only question I have for the March 18th public hearing, are we doing that in person? Are we doing that over Zoom or hybrid?
It's going to be both. I would hope that the planning board members could go because there's going to be a room full of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and-
I'll be there in person. I think I'll bring my laptop too, just because sometimes, well, we'll need the ability to project for the room.
Right, I will be set up with the laptop where Angus usually is. I did
Right.
sit next to him at that last joint meeting so that I could see
And
how
we'll
he's
have that,
doing
we'll have that
everything.
also, we'll have that slideshow, so that's good.
He assured me it was easy. I am worried about it. Just
Yeah, you
let
know, it
everyone
was
know.
one of those things, like, when COVID hit, it was one of those things that I had no clue. And it was a little rough, but then after that, it seemed, I think once you've been through it a couple of times, it's kind of smooths out.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Katrina and Ray, if you're gonna meet ahead of time to look at the slides, you could do it as a dry run in that room somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that was helpful when I was giving lectures is the ability to kind of mark things as I go. I can do that pretty easily on my
Okay.
laptop, but
Yeah.
we'll see if we can.
Figure it out, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Doing that.
Sounds good.
good. All right then. I'll move to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor, Ray Cook, aye.
RD9.
Tim Cronin, aye.